Cassie, when will you stop embarrassing this family? Mother's voice cuts through the morning calm like a knife. I stare defiantly over my coffee mug, heart pounding. I didn't realize existing was embarrassing. Don't be smart, father snaps. Your sister manages to dress appropriately for family breakfast. Jocelyn shifts uncomfortably in her pressed blouse and slacks. I glance down at my paint-splattered overalls, a rebellion in denim. I came straight from a studio, I say. My art doesn't keep anchors hours. Mother's lips tighten. Art. Is that what you're calling those? Scribbles now. The words sting, but I refuse to let it show. My name is Cassandra Harlow, Cassie to the few who actually know me, and I'm suffocating in a family that can't see past their own expectations. They're good enough for the buyers at the gallery, I retort. Father scoffs. Buyers. As if anyone with taste would pay for that nonsense. Warren, Mother hisses, not at the table. But he's on a roll now. When are you going to grow up, Cassandra? Your sister's already making partner at her law firm. What do you have to show for yourself? I grip my mug tighter, knuckles white. I have my integrity. And my freedom. Freedom, he laughs bitterly. Is that what you call mooching off your parents at 28?
I pay rent, I grov.
For this overpriced closet you call a guest house. A pittance, Mother sniffs. Hardly covers the utilities. Jocelyn clears her throat. Maybe we could talk about something else? The weather's been lovely. Stay out of this. Father and I snap in unison. She shrinks back, and for a moment, I feel a pang of guilt. It's not her fault she's their golden child. I stand abruptly, chair scraping against the hardwood. I think I've lost my appetite. Sit down, Father commands. We're not finished. I say, heading for the door. Mother's voice follows me. This is why you'll never amount to anything, Cassandra. You can't even finish a simple family breakfast. I pause, hand on the doorknob. The urge to lash out, to hurt them as they've hurt me, is overwhelming. But I swallow it down. You're right, Mother. I can't finish this. Not anymore. I step out into the crisp morning air, letting the door slam behind me. The manicured lawn of the main house stretches before me, a perfect facade, hiding the rot beneath. I stride across it, grass staining my bare feet. My phone buzzes. A text from Jocelyn. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have said those things. I ignore it, shoving the phone back in my pocket. Her pity is almost worse than their scorn. The guest house, my prison for the past year, looms ahead. I'd moved back in after a bad breakup and an eviction notice, swallowing my pride for what I'd thought would be a few months at most. Now, it feels like quicksand slowly pulling me under. Inside, I survey the cramped space. Canvases line the walls, splashes of color defying the beige monotony my parents prefer. My latest piece sits on the easel, an abstract swirl of reds and blacks, emotion made visible. I grab my battered suitcase from the closet and start throwing clothes in haphazardly. Enough is enough. I can't keep suffocating here, trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for me. A knock at the door interrupts my frenzied packing. Cassie, it's Jocelyn. Can we talk? I hesitate, then open the door. She takes in the suitcase, eyes widening. You're leaving? I have to, I say. I can't do this anymore, Jose. She nods slowly. I understand. But where will you go? I laugh, a bit hysterically. No idea. But anywhere's better than here. Jocelyn bites her lip. Let me help. I can lend you some money just to get started. No. I cut her off. I appreciate it, but I need to do this on my own. She looks hurt, but nods again. Okay, just. Promise you'll stay in touch. I soften slightly. It's not her fault she's the daughter they wanted. I promise. As I finish packing, Jocelyn hovers uncertainly. What should I tell them? I zip the suitcase closed with finality. Tell them I'm finally growing up. I shoulder my bag and grab my easel. Jocelyn follows me out, watching as I load everything into my beat-up Volkswagen. Be careful, she says as I slide into the driver's seat. I manage a small smile. Always am. As I pull out of the driveway, I catch a glimpse of my parents watching from the window. Their faces are a mixture of anger and disbelief. I lift my hand in a mock salute, then press down on the accelerator. The mansion shrinks in my rearview mirror, and with each mile, I feel the weight lifting from my chest. I have no idea where I'm going, but for the first time in years, I'm free. And that's worth more than all the approval in the world. The sun beats down on my neck as I adjust my easel, squinting at the canvas before me. It's been 3 weeks since I left home, and the local art fair is my first real attempt at making it on my own. My stomach churns with a mix of excitement and dread. Interesting use of color. A deep voice says behind me. I turn to see a man studying my latest piece, head tilted thoughtfully. Thanks, I reply, trying to gauge if he's being sincere or sarcastic. His rugged good looks are offset by grease-stained hands and well-worn jeans. Not exactly the typical art fair patron. He grins, disarming me completely. I mean it. The way you've captured light here, he points to a swirl of yellow and orange. It's like looking at a sunset through stained glass. I blink, surprised by his insight. That's exactly what I was going for. He extends a hand. I'm Rhett Lawson. Cassie Harlow, I say, shaking it. His grip is firm, calloused. So, Cassie Harlow, he says, tell me about this one. He gestures to a darker piece, all stormy blues and grays. I hesitate. It's deeply personal, painted during one of my lowest moments after leaving home. But something in Rhett's open expression makes me want to share. It's about feeling trapped, I explain. Like you're drowning in expectations that aren't your own. Rhett nods slowly. I get that. Family stuff. I laugh humorlessly. Is it that obvious? Let's just say I recognize the look, he says with a wry smile. So, what did you do to get out from under it? This, I say, gesturing to my paintings. I left. Decided it was time to sink or swim on my own terms. Brave, Rhett says, and there's genuine admiration in his voice. We talk for hours, the rest of the fair fading into background noise. Rhett, it turns out, is a mechanic with a passion for restoring vintage cars. He describes engines the way I talk about color theory, with an enthusiasm that's infectious. As the fair winds down, Rhett helps me pack up my unsold pieces. So, he says casually, I was thinking of taking a drive up the coast tomorrow. There's this great little seafood shack about 2 hours north. Want to come? I hesitate. It's impulsive, maybe even reckless. But isn't that what I wanted when I left home? To take chances, to live freely? You know what? Yeah, I say, surprising myself. I'd love to. Rhett's face lights up. Great. I'll pick you up at 10. The next morning, I'm waiting outside my cheap motel room when Rhett pulls up in a gleaming 1967 Mustang convertible. My jaw drops. You like? He asks, patting the hood affectionately. It's gorgeous. I breathe, running a hand along the smooth paint. Restore her myself, Rhett says proudly. Hop in. We cruise up the coast, wind whipping through my hair. Rhett keeps me laughing with stories of disastrous first dates and entitled customers. For the first time in years, I feel truly relaxed. The seafood shack lives up to Rhett's praise. We devour fresh crab cakes and clam chowder at a weathered picnic table overlooking the ocean. So, Rhett says, wiping his mouth, what's next for you? After the fair, I mean. I shrug, suddenly self-conscious. Honestly, I have no idea. I've got enough saved to last a couple months. But after that, I trail off, the reality of my situation sinking in. Rhett nods thoughtfully. You know, my mom runs this little gallery in town. Nothing fancy, but she's always looking for fresh talent. Want me to put in a word? I stare at him, torn between gratitude and pride. That's really kind of you, but I don't want charity. It's not charity, Rhett insists. Your work is good, Cassie. Really good. Mom's got a great eye. If she likes what she sees, it's because you deserve it. I bite my lip, considering. It's a lifeline, a chance to actually make this crazy dream work. Okay, I say finally. If she's interested, I'd love to meet her. Rhett grins. Great. I'll set it up. As we drive back, the sun setting in a blaze of color that puts my paintings to shame, I feel a spark of hope ignite in my chest. For the first time since I left home, the future doesn't seem quite so daunting. We pull up to my motel, and Rhett kills the engine. There's a moment of charged silence. I had a really great time today, I say softly. Me too, Rhett replies. He leans in and I meet him halfway. The kiss is gentle, tentative at first, then deepens. When we finally break apart, we're both a little breathless. So, Rhett says, a mischievous glint in his eye. What do you say we make this a regular thing? The road trips, he adds hastily. Although, the kissing part was pretty great too. I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in years. I'd like that, I say. Both parts. As I watch Rhett drive away, I realize I've taken my first real step towards independence. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Whatever comes next, I know I'm ready to face it head on. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink. Rhett and I sit on a checkered blanket, the remains of our picnic scattered around us. 6 months have passed since that first road trip, and every day has been an adventure. Cassie, Rhett says, his voice uncharacteristically serious. These past months have been the happiest of my life. I turn to him, smiling. Mine too. He takes a deep breath, reaching into his pocket. I know it might seem fast, but when you know, right? He pulls out a small velvet box, and my heart skips a beat. Cassandra Harlow, will you marry me? The ring inside is simple but beautiful, a delicate silver band with a small, sparkling diamond. It's nothing like the gaudy rocks my mother always fawned over, and I love it all the more for that. Yes, I breathe, tears pricking my eyes. Yes, of course I will. Rhett's face breaks into a radiant grin as he slips the ring onto my finger. We kiss as the last rays of sunlight fade, wrapped in the warmth of our shared joy. Reality crashes back the next morning as I stare at my phone, thumb hovering over my parents' number. I have to tell them, but the thought makes my stomach churn. You don't have to do this, Rhett says, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I lean into his embrace. I do. They're still my family, even if. I trail off, unable to finish the thought. I'll be right here, he promises. Taking a deep breath, I hit call. Mother answers on the third ring. Cassandra? Is everything all right? Everything's fine, Mother, I say, steeling myself. I have news. I'm engaged. There's a long pause. I see, she says finally, her voice tight. And who is the lucky man? His name is Rhett. He's a mechanic, specializes in vintage car restoration. Another pause, longer this time. A mechanic, she repeats flatly. Cassandra, surely you can't be serious. I am, I say, my resolve strengthening. We'd like you to meet him. Maybe we could come for dinner next week. I can practically hear her internal struggle. Finally, she sighs. I suppose that would be acceptable. Wednesday at 7. The week drags by, a mix of anticipation and dread. Rhett remains steadfast, his quiet confidence bolstering my own. When Wednesday arrives, we pull up to my parents' house in Rhett's prized Mustang. Ready? He asks, squeezing my hand. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. Mother answers the door, her smile brittle. Cassandra. And you must be Rhett. Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Harlow, Rhett says warmly, extending his hand. She shakes it briefly, her nose wrinkling slightly at the lingering traces of motor oil. Come in, please. Father and Jocelyn are waiting in the living room. Jocelyn hugs me tightly, whispering congratulations in my ear. Father merely nods, his expression unreadable. Dinner is a tense affair. Mother peppers Rhett with questions about his background and education, each answer clearly disappointing her. Father remains mostly silent, watching Rhett with narrowed eyes. So, Rhett, he finally says as dessert is served. What are your intentions with my daughter? Rhett meets his gaze steadily. To love her, support her dreams, and build a life together. Father scoffs.
Noble sentiment.
But how do you intend to provide for her? Surely you don't expect her to live on a mechanic's salary. Dad, I interject, anger flaring. I can provide for myself. My art. Your art. He cuts me off dismissively. Cassandra, it's time to be realistic. This dalliance has gone on long enough.
Dalliance.
I repeat, incredulous. We're getting married. No, Father says firmly. You're not. I forbid it. The room falls silent. Even Mother looks shocked. You forbid it? I say, my voice dangerously quiet. I'm not a child, Dad. You don't get to forbid anything. As long as you're part of this family, then maybe I don't want to be part of this family. I shout, standing abruptly.
Come on, Rhett.
We're leaving. Rhett rises, his face a mask of calm. Thank you for dinner, Mr. and Mrs.
Harlow.
I'm sorry we couldn't find common ground. As we head for the door, Jocelyn catches my arm. Cassie, wait. They'll come around. Just give them time. I shake my head, tears threatening to spill. I've given them my whole life, Jose. I can't do it anymore. Outside, I collapse against the car, sobs racking my body. Rhett holds me close, murmuring soothing words. I'm so sorry, I choke out. You didn't deserve that. He tilts my chin up, his eyes full of love. Hey, none of that. I knew what I was signing up for, remember? We're in this together. As we drive away, I feel a strange mix of grief and liberation. The bridge to my old life is burning, but ahead lies a future full of possibility, one I get to shape with my own hands. So, Rhett says, a hint of his usual humor returning. One elope. I laugh through my tears, the weight on my chest easing slightly. You know what? That doesn't sound half bad. As the lights of my childhood home fade in the rearview mirror, I realize I've made my choice. Whatever comes next, Rhett and I will face it together, on our own terms. The key scrapes in the lock as Rhett and I stumble into our new loft, arms laden with boxes. Sunlight streams through the large windows, illuminating the dusty hardwood floors and exposed brick walls. Home sweet home, Rhett says, dropping a box with a grunt. I spin slowly, taking it all in. It's small, rough around the edges, and absolutely perfect. I can't believe we did it, I breathe. Rhett wraps his arms around me from behind. Believe it, babe. This is our fresh start. We spend the day unpacking, transforming the empty space into something uniquely ours. My easel claims a corner by the window, while Rhett's vintage car posters add character to the bare walls. By nightfall, we collapse onto our second-hand couch, exhausted but exhilarated. To new beginnings, Rhett says, clinking his beer bottle against mine. And to telling convention to shove it, I add with a grin. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of activity. Rhett throws himself into getting his restoration shop up and running, working long hours to transform an old garage into his dream workspace. I set up an online store for my art, nervously listing my first few pieces. You're sure about the prices? I ask Rhett for the 100th time, hovering over the publish button. He kisses my forehead. Your work is worth every penny, Cass. Trust yourself. Taking a deep breath, I click publish. It feels like sending a piece of my soul out into the world. Days pass with no sales, and doubt begins to creep in. Maybe my parents were right. Maybe this is all just a pipe dream. I throw myself into painting, channeling my frustration onto canvas. One morning, I wake to Rhett shaking me excitedly. Cassie, wake up. You've got to see this. I blink groggily at the laptop screen he's thrust in front of me. It takes a moment for the numbers to register. Wait, is that? You sold 3 paintings overnight. Rhett whoops. And look at the comments. They love your work. Tears spring to my eyes as I read the glowing reviews. It's not just the money, though that's certainly welcome. It's the validation, the proof that my art speaks to people. I told you, Rhett says softly, pulling me close. You're amazing, Cass. The sales continue steadily over the next few months. I expand my online presence, even landing a few commissions. Meanwhile, Rhett's shop gains a reputation for quality work, attracting a loyal clientele of classic car enthusiasts. One evening, as we're celebrating another successful week, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jocelyn. Can we talk? It's important. My stomach twists. I haven't spoken to anyone in my family since that disastrous dinner. Part of me wants to ignore it to protect the life Rhett and I have built. But curiosity wins out. Hey, Jose, I say when she picks up. What's going on? Her voice is strained. It's Dad. There's been a scandal at the university. He's been forced to resign. The news hits me like a punch to the gut. Despite everything, I never imagined my father's carefully constructed world crumbling. What happened? Jocelyn hesitates. It's complicated. Financial improprieties, abuse of power. It's all over the local news. I sink onto the couch, mind reeling. Rhett sits beside me, concern etched on his face. How are Mom and Dad handling it? I ask, though I can already guess the answer. Not well, Jocelyn sighs. Mom's a wreck, and Dad.
He's not the man we knew, Cass.
They're going to lose the house. Everything. A part of me, a petty, wounded part, wants to feel satisfied. Isn't this karma for how they treated me? But the larger part aches for my family, for the pain they must be going through. What do you need from me, Jose? I ask quietly. She takes a shaky breath. I hate to ask, but could you come see them? They won't admit it, but I think they need you. I close my eyes, conflicting emotions warring within me. Rhett squeezes my hand supportively, and I draw strength from his presence. I'll think about it. I say finally. I can't promise anything, but I'll think about it. After I hang up, I fill Rhett in on the situation. He listens without judgment, his steady presence a balm to my churning thoughts. Whatever you decide, he says when I finish, I'm with you. If you want to see them, we'll go together. If you want to stay away, I'll support that too. I lean into him, grateful beyond words for his unwavering support. I don't know what to do, I admit. Part of me wants to help, but another part is terrified of getting sucked back into their world. Rhett nods thoughtfully. You don't have to decide right now.
Sleep on it.
Whatever choice you make, it'll be the right one for you. As I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I realize that this is the true test of the independence I've fought so hard for. The choice to help or not is mine alone, not dictated by obligation or fear, but by my own values and desires. Whatever I decide, I know it will shape the next chapter of my life. And for the first time, I feel truly ready to write that chapter on my own terms. The sharp knock at the door jolts me from my painting trance. I glance at the clock, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Rhett's at the shop, and we're not expecting anyone. I open the door to find Jocelyn standing there, looking like she hasn't slept in days. Her usually immaculate suit is wrinkled, her hair disheveled.
Jess?
I say, stunned. What are you doing here? She pushes past me into the loft, her eyes darting around wildly. Nice place, she says, her voice brittle. Very bohemian. Thanks, I reply cautiously. Jocelyn, what's going on? You look terrible. She laughs, a harsh, humorless sound. Oh, you haven't heard? I thought surely it would have reached your artistic circles by now. My stomach tightens. Heard what? Jocelyn collapses onto our couch, suddenly looking very small. It's Dad, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. He's been fired from the university. There's a huge scandal. The news hits me like a physical blow. I sink down next to her, mind reeling. What happened? Financial improprieties, Jocelyn says, her voice hollow. Embezzlement, kickbacks from contractors. It's all over the news. They're saying he could face criminal charges. I struggle to reconcile this information with the image of my father, stern, principled, always lecturing us about integrity. I don't understand. Why would he do that? Jocelyn shakes her head. I don't know. Greed? Desperation? He's not talking to anyone, not even Mom. How is she taking it? How do you think? Jocelyn snaps. Her whole world is crumbling. The country club set she was so desperate to impress? They've all turned their backs on her. We're going to lose the house, Cassie. Everything. The weight of it all settles on me. Despite everything, a part of me aches for them. I'm so sorry, Jose. Is there anything I can do? She looks at me, eyes suddenly sharp. Actually, yes. That's why I'm here. I tense, sensing what's coming. They need help, Cass, Jocelyn pleads. Financial help. I've done what I can, but with the legal fees and everything else, it's not enough. I stand abruptly, pacing the small space. Jose, I don't know if I can do that. Can't or won't, she challenges. Both. I explode. Do you have any idea what it's been like, building this life from scratch? Every penny I make goes back into my art or our living expenses. And even if I could afford it, after everything they've put me through, Jocelyn's eyes flash. So that's it? You're just going to abandon them when they need you most. Abandon them? I repeat incredulously. Like they abandoned me when I chose to follow my passion? When I fell in love with someone they deemed unworthy? That's different, Jocelyn argues weakly. Is it? I counter. They made their choices, Jose. Just like I made mine. We glare at each other, years of unspoken resentment bubbling to the surface. Finally, Jocelyn deflates. I'm sorry, she says softly. I shouldn't have come here demanding things. I don't know what to do, Cass. I feel like I'm drowning. My anger fades, replaced by a complicated mix of empathy and wariness. I sit back down, taking her hand. I get it. Really, I do. But I can't just write a check and make this all go away. Jocelyn nods, looking defeated. I understand. I should go. As she stands to leave, a thought strikes me. Wait, I say. I can't give you money, but maybe I could talk to them? Try to help them figure out their next steps. Hope flickers in Jocelyn's eyes. You do that. I take a deep breath, steeling myself. Yeah, I think I need to, for my own closure if nothing else. Jocelyn hugs me tightly.
Thank you, Cass.
You have no idea what this means. After she leaves, I sink back onto the couch, emotions swirling. When Rhett comes home, I fill him in on everything. Wow, he says when I finish. That's a lot to process. How are you feeling about it all? I laugh humorlessly. Honestly, I have no idea. Part of me wants to help them, to be the bigger person. But another part is scared of getting sucked back in, Rhett finishes. I nod, grateful for his understanding. He pulls me close. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. But Cass, don't let guilt drive your choices. You've worked too hard for this life to throw it away out of obligation. I lean into him, drawing strength from his steady presence. I know. I think I need to see them, to understand what happened, and maybe find some closure. But I'm not going to sacrifice everything we've built. I can't. Rhett kisses my forehead. That sounds like a good plan. Want me to come with you? I consider it, then shake my head. No, I think this is something I need to do on my own. But thank you for offering. As I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I realized that this visit could change everything. Will seeing my parents in their fallen state bring resolution or open old wounds? Can I find a way to help without compromising my own hard-won independence? Whatever happens, I know this confrontation has been a long time coming, and for better or worse, it will shape the next chapter of all our lives. The elevator creaks ominously as it ascends to the 5th floor of a rundown apartment building. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. The doors open, revealing a dimly lit hallway with peeling wallpaper. This is a far cry from the pristine mansion I grew up in. I find the right door and knock, my heart pounding. There's a long pause before I hear shuffling footsteps. The door opens a crack, and I see my mother's face, pale and drawn. Cassandra, she says, surprise evident in her voice. What are you doing here? Hello, Mother, I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. Jocelyn told me what happened. I thought I should come see you. She hesitates, then opens the door wider.
Kumain isuwas.
The apartment is small and cluttered, nothing like the meticulously decorated home I remember. Dad sits in a threadbare armchair, staring blankly at a muted TV. He doesn't look up as I enter. Warren, Mother says sharply. Cassandra's here. He grunts, finally turning to face me. The man before me is a shadow of the imposing figure from my childhood. His eyes are sunken, his clothes rumpled. "Come to gloat, have you?" he says bitterly. I flinch at his tone.
No, Dad.
"I came to see if you're okay." He laughs humorlessly. "Okay? We've lost everything. My career, our home, our reputation, all gone. And now you show up, playing the concerned daughter?" "I am concerned," I insist. "You're still my parents, despite everything." Mother bustles around, clearing papers off a small couch. "Sit down, Cassandra. Would you like some tea?" I nod, grateful for the momentary distraction. As she disappears into the kitchenette, I take a seat, acutely aware of Dad's glare. "So," I say, desperate to break the tension, "have you thought about what you're going to do next?" Dad scoffs. "Do? What can we do? I'm radioactive in academia now. Your mother's little society friends won't even return her calls. We're finished." His defeatist attitude grates on me. "You're not finished. You're just starting over." "Easy for you to say," he snaps. "You chose this life of struggle. We had everything, and now you know what it's like to live without a safety net," I finish. "Like I've been doing since I left." Mother returns with the tea, her hands shaking slightly as she sets down the tray. "Let's not argue," she pleads. "Cassandra, tell us about your life. Are you managing all right?" I see the real question in her eyes. "Are you here to help us?" The realization sends a chill through me. Is that all I am to them now? A potential lifeline? "I'm doing well," I say carefully. "My art is selling, and Rhett's business is taking off." "Ah yes, the mechanic," Dad mutters. I ignore the jab. "We're building a life together. It's not always easy, but it's ours." Mother nods, a forced smile on her face. "That's lovely, dear. And have you given any thought to, well, family obligations? Now that we're in this difficult situation." And there it is, the request I've been dreading. I set down my teacup, my resolve hardening. "I can't give you money," I say firmly. "Even if I could afford it, which I can't, it wouldn't solve the underlying problems." Dad's face darkens. "So, you'll abandon us in our time of need? After everything we've done for you?" "Everything you've done for me?" I repeat incredulously. "You mean criticizing every choice I've made? Trying to force me into a life I never wanted?" "We wanted what was best for you." Mother interjects. "No," I say, my voice rising. "You wanted what was best for your image. You never once asked what I wanted." Dad stands abruptly, looming over me. "We gave you every advantage, and this is how you repay us? By turning your back when we need you most." I stand too, refusing to be intimidated. "I'm not turning my back. I'm here, aren't I? But I won't enable you to avoid taking responsibility for your actions." "Responsibility," he roars. "You ungrateful." "Enough," Mother cries, tears in her eyes. "Please, both of you, stop this." We fall silent, the air thick with tension. I take a deep breath, trying to center myself. "Look," I say more calmly. "I can't give you money, but I want to help. I can help you look for jobs or find resources for people in your situation. But you have to be willing to start over, to rebuild." Dad slumps back into his chair, suddenly looking very old. "What's the point?" he mutters. I kneel beside him, taking his hand. "It's the first time we've touched in years. The point is that you're still here. You still have each other and Jocelyn
And me.
if you want." Mother joins us, her hand on Dad's shoulder. Perhaps Cassandra is right, Warren. We can't go back, but we can go forward." He looks at me, really looks at me for what feels like the first time. "You've grown up," he says softly. "When did that happen?" I smile sadly. "While you weren't looking." As I leave the apartment an hour later, I feel drained but oddly hopeful. It's not a fairy tale reconciliation, but it's a start. A chance to build a new relationship, one based on mutual respect rather than expectations. I step out into the fading sunlight, taking a deep breath of the city air. Whatever comes next, I know I can face it. I've found my strength, my voice. And no one can take that away from me. The tension in the small apartment is palpable as I stand facing my parents. What started as a tentative attempt at reconciliation has devolved into a bitter confrontation. Mother's face is flushed with anger, while Dad glowers from his armchair. How can you be so heartless, Cassandra? Mother demands, her voice shrill. After everything we've done for you, you'd abandon us in our time of need? I take a deep breath, fighting to keep my composure. I'm not abandoning you. I've offered to help you find resources, to support you emotionally. But I can't just write a check and make this all go away. Support us emotionally?
Dad scoffs.
What good is that when we're about to be evicted? Maybe if you'd supported me emotionally all these years, things would be different now. I retort, years of pent-up frustration bubbling to the surface. Mother gasps, how dare you? We gave you everything. Everything except acceptance, I say, my voice rising. Everything except the freedom to be myself. Oh, here we go again with the artist nonsense, Dad mutters. Something inside me snaps. It's not nonsense. It's who I am, who I've always been. But you were too busy trying to mold me into your perfect daughter to see that. We wanted what was best for you. Mother cries. No. I counter, years of hurt pouring out. You wanted what was best for your image. Do you have any idea what it was like growing up in this house? The constant criticism, the impossible standards? They stare at me, stunned by my outburst. Every time I showed you a painting, you asked why I couldn't be more like Jocelyn. I continue, unable to stop now that the floodgates have opened. Every accomplishment was met with, that's nice, but when are you going to do something real with your life?
Do you know what that does to a child?
Dad starts to speak, but I cut him off. And now that your carefully constructed world has crumbled, you expect me to swoop in and save you? To sacrifice the life I've built, the happiness I've found, to prop up your pride? We're parents, Mother says weakly. Yes, you are. I acknowledge, my voice softening slightly. And I love you, but I won't set myself on fire to keep you warm. The silence that follows is deafening. Mother sinks onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. Dad stares at the floor, his jaw clenched. I never realized, he says finally, his voice barely above a whisper. We thought we were pushing you to be your best self. Your version of my best self, I correct gently. Not mine. Mother looks up at me, really looks at me, perhaps for the first time in years. You've grown so strong, she says, a mix of pride and regret in her voice. When did that happen? It happened when I stopped trying to be who you wanted me to be and started being true to myself. I reply. Dad clears his throat. And this life you've built, with the mechanic, you're truly happy? I nod, a small smile playing at my lips. Happier than I've ever been. Rhett sees me, the real me. He supports my dreams without trying to change them. I suppose we owe him an apology, Mother says quietly. You owe a lot of people apologies, I say, but without malice. Including yourselves. They exchange a look, years of shared history passing between them. We've made a mess of things, haven't we? Dad says ruefully. I sit down between them, taking each of their hands in mine. Yes, you have. But it's not too late to start fixing it.
How?
Mother asks, her voice small and uncertain. By taking responsibility for your actions, I say firmly, by rebuilding your lives on a foundation of honesty and humility instead of pride and appearances. Dad nods slowly. It won't be easy. No, I agree. It won't. But I'll be here to support you if you'll let me. Not financially, but as your daughter. As someone who loves you, flaws and all. Mother squeezes my hand. We don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, I say. But I'm offering it anyway, because that's who I am, the person I've become despite everything. For the first time in years, I see a glimmer of genuine pride in their eyes, not for what I've accomplished, but for who I am. We have a lot to learn from you, Cassandra, Dad says softly. I stand, feeling lighter than I have in years. It's not too late to start. As I leave the apartment, I feel a sense of closure I never thought possible. The road ahead won't be easy, for any of us. But for the first time, I feel like we might be able to walk it together as equals. I step out into the fading sunlight, taking a deep breath of the city air. Whatever comes next, I know I can face it. I've found my strength, my voice. And in doing so, I may have finally helped my parents find theirs. The future is uncertain, but it's ours to shape. And for the first time in my life, I'm truly excited to see what it holds. The crisp autumn air carries the scent of possibility as I stand before the newly expanded Lawson's Vintage Restorations. Rhett's dream has grown, and with it, a space for my own aspirations to flourish. The storefront gleams, half filled with lovingly restored classic cars, the other half transformed into a cozy art gallery showcasing my work. Ready for this? Rhett asks, squeezing my hand. I take a deep breath, nodding. As I'll ever be. The grand opening is a whirlwind of faces, friends, fellow artists, car enthusiasts, and curious locals. I float between conversations, my heart swelling with pride at the admiring glances cast at both the vehicles and my paintings. "This is incredible, Cassie," a familiar voice says behind me. I turn to see Jocelyn, looking slightly out of place in her tailored suit but smiling genuinely.
Just.
I exclaim, pulling her into a hug. "I'm so glad you could make it." She steps back, taking in the gallery. "I wouldn't have missed it. Your work, it's beautiful. I never really understood before, but now I see what you've been trying to tell us all along." Her words bring unexpected tears to my eyes. "Thank you," I manage. "That means more than you know." Jocelyn's expression turns serious. "Listen, I wanted to apologize.
For everything.
For not standing up for you more, for buying into Mom and Dad's expectations." I shake my head, cutting her off. "You don't need to apologize. We were both just trying to survive in that house, in our own ways." She nods, looking relieved. "How are they doing? Mom and Dad, I mean. I know you've been in touch more than I have lately." I consider my words carefully. "They're
Trying.
It's not easy, but they're making an effort to rebuild their lives, to see things differently. Dad's even talking about volunteering at a community college, teaching a night class." "Wow," Jocelyn says, clearly surprised. "That's not what I expected." "Me neither," I admit. "But I think losing everything forced them to reevaluate what really matters." Our conversation is interrupted by Rhett's mother, Evelyn, bustling over with a tray of champagne flutes. "Girls, you must have a toast. This is a celebration after all." We accept the glasses, and Evelyn pulls me into a warm hug. "I'm so proud of you both," she says, her eyes shining. "You've built something truly special here." As she moves on to mingle with other guests, Jocelyn raises an eyebrow. "She seems lovely." "She is," I say, a wave of gratitude washing over me. "She's been more of a mother to me these past few years than—" I trail off, not wanting to reopen old wounds. Jocelyn nods in understanding. "I'm glad you found that support, Cass. You deserve it." The evening progresses, a steady stream of well-wishers and potential clients flowing through the doors. As things begin to wind down, Rhett joins me by my favorite painting, a swirling abstract that somehow captures both the freedom of the open road and the comfort of coming home. "Quite a night, huh?" he says, wrapping an arm around my waist. I lean into him, exhausted but elated. "It's more than I ever dreamed possible." He kisses the top of my head. "You made it happen, Cass. Your talent, your determination, that's what brought us here." "We made it happen," I correct him. "I couldn't have done any of this without you believing in me." As the last guests trickle out, Jocelyn approaches us again. "I should get going," she says. "But before I do, Mom and Dad asked me to give you this." She hands me an envelope. With trembling fingers, I open it to find a card. Inside, in my father's precise handwriting, is a simple message. "Cassandra, we are so proud of the woman you've become and the life you've built. We were wrong to try to change you, and we're sorry it took us so long to see that. If you're willing, we'd like to start over, to get to know the real you, and to be the parents you always deserved. With love and admiration, Mom and Dad." Tears blur my vision as I pass the card to Rhett. He reads it silently, then pulls me close. "What do you think?" he asks gently. I take a shaky breath. I think it's a start. A real one this time. Jocelyn smiles, looking relieved.
They really mean it, Cass.
They've changed, or at least they're trying to. I nod, a complex mix of emotions swirling within me. Tell them I'd like that. To start over. As Jocelyn leaves, Rhett and I stand in the quiet gallery, surrounded by the fruits of our labor and love. So, he says, a mischievous glint in his eye. What's next for us, Cassandra Harlow soon-to-be Lawson? I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in years. I don't know exactly, but for the first time in my life, I'm excited to find out. We step outside, locking up our new shared space. The street is quiet, the city winding down for the night. But for us, it feels like a new dawn. As we walk hand in hand towards our loft, I realize that this moment, this life we've built, is the masterpiece I've been working towards all along. It's not perfect, it's not what anyone else planned for me, but it's beautifully, authentically mine. And that I now know is worth more than all the approval in the world.
You mean nothing to me now. You will never enter this house again. I heard my father's voice again, his scornful words. I left my family home in tears right out of high school with John. We were to be married just months later, by my side. I am Amy, 36 years old, and by trade now a farmer. It's been 18 years since I walked away from my family home. From this point on, the time I spend living my chosen life will surpass the time I spent in my family home, a thought that fills me with sentimentality. Our family home was in the city, with my father working in a corporate job and my mother as a stay-at-home mom. It was a family of 4, including my elder brother, born a year ahead of me. My parents were the sort who made no secret of ranking their children, with my brother always receiving preferential treatment. The meals we had and the grandeur of our birthday gifts were consistently superior for him. He flaunted his supposed superiority and always belittled me. Loneliness and cries for attention punctuated my childhood, but my parents remained unyielding. I eventually gave up. The turning point in my life came during the summer of my second year in high school. My brother, aiming for a top-tier university, was struggling with poor mock exam results. Frustrated, he vented his anger on me. My parents treated him with utmost care as if he were a fragile object, piling household chores on me, leaving no time for my studies. Because I outperformed my brother academically, they attempted to lower my grades to boost his spirits. It made no sense. During this time, a teacher at my high school mentioned a rural experience program. A 2-night getaway, immersion in country life. Students could stay at a host farm, harvest vegetables, and cook together. It was an opportunity to escape my toxic home environment, and I bravely signed up for it despite my father's objections. He had always dismissed agriculture as a career for those who couldn't secure corporate jobs, while my mother scoffed at me, questioning my sanity for willingly embracing manual labor and getting dirty in the mud. I defied my parents' opposition and used my saved pocket money to participate. It was the first time I'd ever gone against their wishes, and it turned out to be an excellent decision for me. Starved for familial love, it was a truly wonderful experience. Working in the fresh rural air was invigorating, and I discovered the warmth of a family. The eldest son of the host family, John, was a year older than me and the same age as my brother. At first, I was wary because of his age, but John was nothing like my brother. He was kind yet firm, got along well with his parents, and was equally kind to me. John's parents were genuinely gentle people. Though it was only 3 days, parting from the farm left me in tears, and John's mom cried alongside me, saying, "You're welcome back any time." I promised that I would indeed return. Since they didn't use their cell phones much, I started writing them letters regularly. Before long, I began receiving replies from John. and it evolved into an exchange diary. We eventually started dating, a pure long-distance relationship without even a kiss. As my brother failed to get into his first-choice university and ended up in a third-rate private college, I became a college applicant. However, my parents pressured me to get a job instead of pursuing higher education, claiming women didn't need an education. The real reason was likely their fear of me attending a better college than my brother. Since the rural experience, I had dreamed of becoming a farmer. While I could become a farmer without attending college, John was a college student who had moved to the city, deciding to pursue a college education and aiming for a new form of farming. With a clear goal in mind, I dedicated myself to daily studies despite interference from my parents and brother. Upon passing the university entrance exam, my father erupted in fury, questioning if I, as a woman, intended to attend a better university than my brother. My mother joined in, claiming they couldn't afford to support me because my brother needed the money. Devastated by their words and a massive argument, I chose to sever all ties with them. John, now my in-law's son, came to pick me up, and they generously supported my college expenses. 4 years later, I married John, never contacting my parents or brother during my college years. However, when my in-laws insisted we inform them about the marriage, my husband decided it was time to visit my childhood home for the first time in 4 years. The timing was chaotic during the planting season, so we could only make the visit at the beginning of summer. My husband, in-laws, and I arrived with sunburned and darkened faces from working outside. To our dismay, my parents and brother openly ridiculed us upon our arrival. My mother, in a condescending tone, questioned our financial status, stating, "No offense, but how old are you exactly? You must be quite poor to be working until you're all dark like this." Feeling mortified, I pleaded with her to stop, but she ignored me. My brother smirked and taunted, belittling those engaged in physical labor. I turned pale as the gentle smiles on my in-laws' faces froze. My husband firmly declared, "With all due respect, we are proud to be farmers." My father condescendingly laughed, disowning me at 18 and stating, "Just to make it clear, you're a stranger to us now. You're marrying a poor farmer who has to sweat and work hard. We're going to treat you as if you don't exist. It'll be a problem if you come asking us for money. We don't want to see you anymore." Already disowned at 18, I knew I was on my own, even without explicit confirmation. Despite this, I tried to maintain courtesies. The sympathetic looks from my in-laws and John were difficult to bear. On the way home, I quietly wept and resolved to forget about my biological family. Time passed, and 18 years flew by. The emotional wounds had thoroughly healed. I had given birth to 2 children, and my days were busy but fulfilling. Although I had virtually erased the memories of my parents and my brother, I was informed by a cousin that my brother was getting married. My cousin and I had always been close, occasionally meeting even after my marriage. At the wedding, my cousin said, however, I hadn't heard anything about the marriage plans of my parents or my brother. "Well, since we're estranged, it's true that there's no way for me to know," I replied. "I heard they are building a new duplex. I wonder if it's completed." Apparently, both my parents, my brother and his wife planned to move after the wedding. My cousin knew about the estrangement between my parents and me, that they seemed to think that I would attend weddings and funerals. After finishing the phone call with my cousin, I impulsively dialed my mother's cell phone number. However, I was met with an automated message saying, "This number is no longer in use." I tried calling my father next, and again, the same automated message. Had they changed their cell phone numbers? I didn't know my brother's number, so I couldn't call him. With trembling fingers, I dialed the landline for my family home, and it connected. My heart was pounding as I waited for someone to pick up. "Hello," my brother answered. "Brother, it's Amy," I said, hesitating over what to say next. About to offer congratulations, my brother cut me off. "There's no need for you to do anything. You're a farmer or a stranger to me. Don't call me," he yelled and hung up the phone. I rushed to call him back, only to find that I was already blocked. This was harsh. No matter how much he hated me, we were still family, and it hurt to be rejected like this. Seeing my distress, my husband was concerned and gently asked, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. When I told him about the conversation, both my husband and my in-laws were as furious as if it had happened to them. "Your home is here, Amy. Your family is with us," my mother-in-law reassured me. Her words moved me to tears, and I wished she was my real mom. She cared about me much more than my blood-related mother ever did. "You're happy now. That's all that matters. No need to get hurt. The one who laughs is the winner," my father-in-law said, comforting me. My husband chimed in, saying, "Let's take them as a bad example and make sure we don't turn out like that, even for our children." Not knowing the situation, he hugged me tightly. "Thank you, everyone," I said, feeling warmth in my heart, realizing how happy I was now, even though I wasn't blessed with a supportive biological family. However, things took a drastic turn when my business was featured on national television. My in-laws, originally large-scale grain farmers in the American Midwest, who also grew a wide variety of vegetables and fruits, had a lot of produce that didn't meet the standards. I had studied food business in college and spent a lot of time figuring out how to sell all the produce without waste. Backed by the local farmers union, I started an online business selling jams, juices, and pickles made from slightly damaged fruits and vegetables that couldn't be sold as they were. My business was a huge success. It was a hit with moms who wanted to feed their children safe, domestically produced food and seniors. The demand for nostalgic homemade pickles from those who cherished the taste of yesteryears led me to build a company. I collaborated with young women, like myself, who had married into farming families and unemployed individuals. Over time, it flourished into a $5 million business. Our success story garnered an in-depth report. Following the TV broadcast, we received a deluge of attention, orders, and inquiries. Amidst the constant ringing of both the company's phone and my personal smartphone, an unknown number caught my attention. Without much thought, I picked it up, only to discover it was my estranged brother. It appeared he had seen the national television feature on my success and wanted to borrow money to start a business. Swiftly and firmly, I rejected his request. Undeterred, my brother persistently screamed over the phone, urging me to stop arguing and give him the money, asserting that if a woman like me could start a business and make money, he was bound to be successful. The irony struck me. This was the same brother who had previously declared me a total stranger when I was just a simple farmer. Instead of responding to his pleas, I questioned him about why they hadn't informed me about the move. His surprising answer revealed that my brother's wife, a city girl, had influenced the decision to cut ties. The moment my name was mentioned, an insight into her character led me to believe she shared the traits of my brother and parents. A few hours later, an unknown number called again, revealing itself as my father. He demanded an explanation for why I, a woman, was a boss and accused me of stealing a man's job. I clarified that both John and my father-in-law were integral to the farming business, and it was only natural. Though somewhat convinced, my father questioned why I hadn't contacted them. I reminded him that he had disowned me, promptly hanging up and blocking his number. Moments later, my mother called, demanding money. stating that I was making $500 million a year and should send funds home. I explained that the business generated $500 million in total revenue after covering expenses and employees' salaries, leaving little left over. My mother accused me of lying, showing no embarrassment in persistently demanding money. Firmly, I asserted that I wouldn't send money to strangers, whether I had it or not, then hung up and blocked her number. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was mistaken. My parents, my brother, and his wife, who I had never seen before, showed up uninvited at my in-laws' house. My father announced, "Hey, Emmy, want to see the surprise?" I'm revoking the disarmament. Their desperation for money was astounding. Even my mother-in-law couldn't hide her disbelief and asked, "What on earth is going on with you people?" The discomfort was evident, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law glared at my parents in silence. Even the employees had gathered, staring at my parents with astonishment. It was clear that my brother was not welcome either, but he retorted, "The real blood connections are us. We have the right to share the money you earn too." The woman who seemed to be my brother's wife nodded in agreement with his words. I was seething. "I don't think so. Even though we share a blood connection, there is no emotional connection at all. You treated me like a stranger and abandoned me." The emotional scars from being abandoned by my biological family resurfaced, and I was on the verge of tears once again. Just then, my husband John came and stood beside me. "Emmy is now a part of our family. Even without you disowning her, we are perfectly happy. Please go home," he defended me firmly. The employees also spoke out against my parents, saying, "Were you thinking? How rude. There are many people on my side here." As I realized that this was where I truly belonged, I felt profound happiness. My brother grew angrier and yelled, "Shut up, you country bumpkins. You're all low-educated trash, aren't you? Obey what we say." In silence, John calmly replied, "Well, both my father and I are Ivy League graduates, and Amy has graduated from a well-known agricultural university." This revelation about our educational background seemed to catch my brother by surprise. "Why are you farming despite being graduates of top universities?" he blurted out. John responded confidently, "Farming is a respectable profession where we can fully utilize what we studied in college." I couldn't help but burst into laughter amidst the tension of the situation. "Brother, you've lost to John in everything," I said, feeling a sense of relief. Perhaps I had been too afraid of my brother and parents. I wanted to make it unequivocal one last time. "We are already strangers." I paused for a moment, deliberately shifting to a more polite tone. "So I can't lend or give money to strangers. Please leave. If you cause a disturbance or act violently, I'll call the police and take legal action." I made it clear that our ties were severed. My in-laws and husband moved closer to me to shield me from any harm that my parents and brother might cause. I was deeply moved by their protective presence, feeling truly cherished. The employees also chimed in, shouting at my parents to leave. My parents, brother, and sister-in-law glared at us with resentment, but had no choice but to retreat. According to a story I later heard from my cousin, my brother and parents had attempted to get rich quickly through a business venture, accumulating debts. Instead of seeking financial assistance from me, that arrogant attitude had led to a significant failure, and now they were on the brink of bankruptcy. However, I had no intention of getting involved anymore. For me, my work was thriving, and I was surrounded by a true family, including respectable in-laws, a loving husband, and adorable children. I treasured every day, savoring the joy of life. In the aftermath of the tense confrontation with my estranged family, life continued to unfold in remarkable ways. I found solace and happiness in the warmth of my in-laws and my husband John, who stood by my side unwaveringly. The unwavering support of my new family proved to be the greatest treasure I could have asked for. My business continued to thrive, and I expanded it even further, working alongside my dedicated team. The success of our venture allowed us to explore new opportunities and make a positive impact on the community. We continued to provide high-quality, sustainable, and affordable products to our customers, and our business became a beacon of hope for those who believed in the power of hard work and resilience. The love and support I received from my husband John were an endless source of strength and inspiration. We cherished every moment raising our wonderful children in a nurturing environment filled with love and respect. The bonds between us grew stronger each day, and our home was filled with laughter and joy. Over time, I rekindled relationships with my extended family, including my cousin who had reached out to me. We forged deep connections based on trust, mutual respect, and shared values, a testament to the fact that family goes beyond blood. It is built on love, understanding, and shared experiences. As for my estranged family, they continued to face their own challenges and consequences. I wish them well from a distance, but remained steadfast in my decision to focus on my own path. The scars of the past were no longer an open wound, but a reminder of the strength and resilience I had discovered within myself. In the end, my story was one of triumph over adversity, of finding love and belonging in unexpected places, and of building a life based on my own values and aspirations. It was a testament to the power of choice and the incredible capacity of the human spirit to endure and thrive in the face of challenges. With the passage of time, my business continued to flourish and evolved into a community-focused enterprise. We started supporting local farmers and artisans, expanding our product range to showcase the talents of our region. Our commitment to sustainable practices, along with our dedication to quality, gained us a loyal customer base. This connection with our community allowed us to give back in various ways, from supporting local charities to hosting events that celebrated our shared values. As our children grew, we instilled in them the importance of hard work, empathy, and resilience. They witnessed firsthand the importance of family, not solely defined by blood, but by love and shared experiences. Our home became a sanctuary for their growth and development, fostering an environment where they felt loved, nurtured, and encouraged to pursue their dreams. The support from my in-laws remained unwavering. They were not just in-laws, they were family. I had chosen, and I couldn't be more grateful for their love and acceptance. My mother-in-law, in particular, became a cherished friend and confidant, offering her wisdom and guidance as I navigated life's challenges. Meanwhile, my cousin and I continued to build a strong and lasting bond. Our regular interactions allowed us to strengthen our connection, and we often found ourselves sharing life's joys and challenges. This relationship was a testament to the enduring power of the chosen family, where genuine love and understanding prevailed. In the broader scope of life, I found solace in my decision to leave the past behind. While my estranged family faced their own trials, I focused on the present and the future. My husband, my children, and the people who surrounded me were my pillars of strength. They reminded me that a loving, supportive family can be found in unexpected places. My story serves as a reminder that family is not solely defined by blood ties. It is a connection born from love, shared values, and mutual respect. I had come a long way from being disowned by my biological family, and the journey had made me stronger, more resilient, and deeply appreciative of the true meaning of family and the love that can be found in the most unexpected places. Take care of the loan repayment, will you? While I was at work, I suddenly received an email. When I hastily contacted him, Greg calmly began to explain. "Oh, sorry about that. I've fallen for a woman. I've decided to start a new life with her." Moreover, he was planning to take the luxury car that he had recently bought in my name with a loan. Despite my attempts to stop him, my husband ignored me, ended the call abruptly, and then became unreachable. In the end, Greg disappeared with his mistress, leaving behind a huge debt. As a mother to our 10-year-old son, I never imagined such an unfair situation would arise. I was at a loss, not knowing what to do, my mind going blank. I am 35 years old. My name is Julia. My husband, Greg, is the same age. We were a family of 3, including our 10-year-old son, Ryan. Ryan has been incredibly smart since he was young, reading papers on the computer and asking for my opinion on them. Despite being baffled by such complex topics, I was always amazed by his intelligence. In contrast to Ryan, Greg was unstable, never holding down a steady job. I worked full-time, feeling anxious about our future. However, around those days, Greg finally managed to keep the same job for 3 years, earning a stable income. Lately, Greg talked about making memories with the 3 of us, and we decided to buy a $35,000 camper van. However, since Greg couldn't pass the finance company's loan review under his name, I ended up taking the loan for the car. Then on the long-awaited delivery day of the camper van, something unexpected happened. I received an abrupt email from Greg saying, "I'll graciously take the delivered camper van since the loan is in your name. You'll handle the repayments." I called my husband immediately, not understanding what it meant. "Well, I've fallen in love with another woman and decided to date her." "What? What are you talking about?" I intended it to be just a fling, but it turned serious. So I'm thinking of starting over my life with her. Bye. I had prepared the divorce papers when we had that fight before, remember? "I'll file them," he said, and then unilaterally ended the call. This exchange was the first time I realized I had been betrayed by Greg, and it was a shocking blow. After that, no matter how many times I called, there was no response from Greg. Julia thought, can something like this really happen? When I got home from work and opened the drawer where the divorce papers should have been, they were already gone. Thus, I was left with a huge debt from a $35,000 car loan. Despite my attempts to contact my husband through emails and calls afterward, I never received a reply. Ryan, noticing my unusual behavior, came to check on me with concern after dinner. "Mom, what's wrong? You haven't been eating much lately. Are you okay?" Yeah, maybe. I'm just tired." When people lie, they look up to the right. Lying is bad. I've noticed Dad hasn't been home for 3 days, right? Did something happen between you two? Startled by Ryan's sharp words, I took a deep breath to calm myself. Feeling that I could no longer hide the truth, I decided to tell Ryan everything. "I see. It's just like Dad to do something like that. Aren't you sad?" No, I kind of understood from how things were going. Ryan, seemingly foreseeing the future, appeared unconcerned about our parents' divorce, but I knew he must feel sad about it in his heart. While silently apologizing to Ryan in my mind, I worked desperately, trying not to think about the dreadful events. However, my body was honest, and gradually, my health deteriorated. There was a training session planned at work that day, but I couldn't stand up and ended up squatting down. "Sorry, I can't stand up right now. I need to take a break." I heard my colleagues' voices full of concern, but I couldn't respond and collapsed. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital room. I received a diagnosis from the doctor that I needed detailed examinations, and I was admitted to the hospital. Julia thought, "I feel so pathetic. It's supposed to be just emotional stress. Looking at the IV drip in my arm and the white ceiling of the hospital room, tears naturally started to flow. At that moment, Ryan, who is usually calm, rushed into the room with an extremely worried look, prompting me to quickly wipe away my tears. "Mom, what happened? Is it serious? You're not going to die, right?" "Of course not. I wouldn't leave my dear son alone." "That's good. Really, I was called by the school teacher and told that you were taken to the hospital. I was so shocked. My heart nearly stopped. Ryan Ran is usually mature for his age, but he's still only 10. I felt a strong resolve to get better for his sake, but my condition was worse than I thought, and I was diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctor advised you should have surgery as soon as possible. Please make a decision quickly." Following the doctor's advice, I underwent surgery. By the time I was discharged, it had been a month since Greg had left. When I returned home and opened the mailbox, I found a demand letter for the car loan payment. Julia thought the repayment should have been automatically deducted from my account. What happened? In a panic, I checked the account balance with my cash card, and the balance, which was originally $20,000, was now only $33.90. Julia thought Greg did this. I want to ask him to return the money, but I can't contact him. What should I do? Since I don't have the camper van, I can't sell it. After Greg left, everything seemed to be going in a bad direction, and my mood sunk deeper. Seeing me saddened by my series of misfortunes, Ryan put his hand on my forehead. "You look pale. Are you feeling sick again? You don't seem to have a fever, though." "I'm fine physically, but you see, your father not only took the car, but also all the money we had saved. I can't work yet due to my physical condition, and now we have no money. I'm at a loss." "I see. Then I'll deliver newspapers, and I'll search the internet to see if there's any work I can do." Encouraged by my 10-year-old son, I told myself that it wasn't the time to be down. "Sorry for worrying you. I can't afford to be weak. I'll change my mindset and try to do whatever I can." Smiling at him, Ryan also smiled back and then said something unexpected. "Let's plan how to get the car back from Dad." "How can we do that? The camper van is in your name, right?" "Yes, but what about it?" "Then maybe we can." Ryan suggested an idea that I couldn't even imagine. I had never thought such an idea could exist. "Also, I have no idea where your father is." "Then let's check on my phone." A month ago, once when we went hiking as a family, surprisingly, Ryan, who is usually very reliable, got lost. At that time, we bought a kid's cell phone on Ryan's suggestion and installed a GPS app on it, which both Greg and I could access. With this app, I can see where Dad is in real time, and he's been moving around a lot. "Oh, is that so? But what if we find him, and he just says something vague and escapes again?" As I pondered this, Ryan smiled and made an intriguing suggestion. "Don't worry, I've already taken precautions." "What? What did you just say?" To my astonishment, Ryan had acted independently while I was in the hospital, achieving something unbelievable. I thought, I can't believe such a smart child came from me. Understanding Ryan's words, I was simply amazed. He had even caught wind of Greg's mistress. "All right, let's teach Dad who betrayed us a lesson." "Okay, let's start the plan right away." Together, my son and I prepared for that moment. Julia thought, with Ryan by my side, I'm invincible. Bring it on anywhere, anytime. Then 3 days later, my phone rang. "Ah, it's me. Please, I need your help." "Oh, who might this be?" "Don't play dumb. It's your husband, obviously. I'm being questioned by the police about you." At this rate, they might ask me to come to the police station voluntarily. Help me out. Oh, is that so? Just wait a moment. Then I immediately went with my son to where Greg was. And to my surprise, it was a forest park near our house where camping was possible. Greg was being questioned by the police in front of his car, looking bewildered. Feeling pathetic, I sighed and told the police, we need to have a talk as a couple, and asked them to return for a while. At that time, Greg seemed uncomfortable being watched by the people around us, and urged Ryan and me to get into the car. Inside the car, Greg's mistress was sitting cross-legged, glaring at us, but that was no longer important. Sorry about that. Thanks for coming, but why did the police suddenly show up at my place? I don't get it. That's because I filed a report about the missing camper van. What? Why would you do that? It's obvious, isn't it? My car was stolen. Greg, foolishly thinking that actions between spouses can't be criminal, was saying nonsensical things. But the world isn't that naive. You know you filed for divorce, remember? I forgot. So we are strangers now, and you're driving a stranger's car without permission. That's a crime. Ryan figured all this out. Typical, sharp as ever, that kid. But I didn't steal the car. I just borrowed it for a bit. Oh, is that so? Well, I'd like to use my car now. So could you return it? That would be really helpful. As I reached out my hand asking Greg to return the keys, he reluctantly handed them over after confirming it was returned. Ryan quietly started talking, "Hey, why did you abandon your family and choose to play around with this woman?" Caught off guard by his son's unexpected question, Greg was flustered and awkwardly scratched his head. Seeing this, Greg's mistress chuckled smugly and started talking. "It's because I'm more attractive than your mother. Look at me, you can see it, right?" He fell head over heels for me and decided to leave his family. Quiet. "I didn't ask you, old lady. Dad, you answer." Mandy was silenced by Ryan's stern tone, but Greg remained quiet. "If you can't explain, that's fine. I'll just have the police come back and arrest you." "Wait, hold on." Okay, I'll talk." Mandy joined Greg's company 3 months ago. They were attracted to each other and became involved at the welcome party for new employees. Later, it was discovered that Mandy was pregnant, and Greg decided to start a new life with her, leaving us behind. "Why did you take the camper van?" "I quit my job and thought about selling the car for money. But it seems like you were using it quite a bit, weren't you?" "I thought it was a waste to sell it right away, so we decided to go on a trip." "Wait, how do you know all this?" "Remember when Ryan got lost? After that, as a precaution, we bought him a kid's cell phone and installed a GPS app. Did you forget we installed it on your phone too? So I knew where you were all this time. By the way, I later found out from Ryan that he had pretended to get lost during our family hike because he wanted a cell phone. I was amazed at Ryan's ability to think and act so strategically. I suspected something was off with Dad, so I came up with this plan to monitor his actions. You really are a terrifying child. I will never become an adult like you, Dad, who betrays important people without a second thought. Greg, faced with the hard truth Ryan told, was a pitiful adult unable to offer any rebuttal. In contrast, seeing Ryan, only 10 but able to think and speak his mind firmly, gave me a sense of strength as a mother. I felt I couldn't lose, especially in settling things properly. Also, return the $20,000 you withdrew from my account right now. That was our joint property as a couple. I don't have to return it. No, it's not. That money was what I saved little by little since I was single. After all, you always quit your jobs midway, so we hardly ever saved money together. I was appalled to hear that the $20,000 had been squandered by Greg and his mistress. It was the moment I felt relieved about divorcing him. So that's how it is. But if you stole and used the car and my money, that's going to be a serious crime. I just sent the police away, so it's not their business anymore. I only said we would talk. I have no intention of withdrawing the complaint. I must add the theft of my money to the report. Mom, should I call the police now? I can do it with just one button on my phone. Mandy, Greg's mistress, had been watching our conversation but quickly tried to get out of the camper van. At that moment, she let out a scream that echoed around. The reason was that outside the car door, Mandy's parents were standing, their faces red with anger, about to explode in fury. Startled, she stepped back as her parents yelled at her. I'm sorry. Don't be so angry. But why are you here, Mom and Dad? I called your parents beforehand. What? Why? The truth was, during my hospital stay, Ryan had visited Greg's office and tearfully told them. My dad left the house with a woman we don't know, and my mom collapsed. Seeing Ryan's sorrowful and frail state, the people at Greg's office suspected Mandy, who had left the company with Greg, and gave Ryan her parents' address. Greg and Mandy had been overly friendly at the office, and there were photos showing them together at the welcome party for new employees, looking like a couple. After learning from the office people that you commuted from your parents' house, I went there with your photo. Your parents came out when I visited. Then I told them everything that had happened. So today, I contacted Mandy's parents and asked them to wait nearby for a while. How could you do this to me? The worst, I don't want to hear that from you. That's my line. By the way, your stomach seems quite big. What does the baby do? In 3 months. What? Wait a minute. That doesn't add up with when you met my husband. You two met only 3 months ago, right? What's going on? It's not time for the baby to be born yet, Greg. Hearing this for the first time, Greg stared at Mandy, eyes wide. Wait, what does that mean? Are you stupid? Don't you get it? It takes about 9 months from conception to birth, which means the child she's carrying isn't yours. You're so foolish. What do you mean, Mandy? Have you been deceiving me? I almost got away with it. Can't help it now that I'm caught. You're so naive. You can't see through lies at all. Really a fool. Don't mock me. My whole life is ruined because of you. What were you thinking? Greg and Mandy started an ugly argument, but nobody intervened, letting them have it out. Meanwhile, we contacted the police again to explain the situation. As it began to get dark, the forest park was brightly lit by the red lights of the police cars. No, really, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I'm sorry. I'll work hard and never cheat again. So please, just don't arrest me, Dad. People don't change that easily, especially lazy people like you. Exactly, Ryan's right. I can't trust you at all. Reflect on your actions and pay for your crimes at the police station. If I get arrested, I won't be able to pay back the money. Is that okay with you? I don't mind. Pay me back after you've atoned for your sins. Take your time. Don't worry, I've already found you a place to work. Let's see, there's Ryan's child support, plus the $220,000 you stole from me. I'm not sure how much it will all add up to, but you'll work and pay it all back. I had one last thing to say to Mandy, the mistress. You might think you're just an onlooker, but don't forget you're an accomplice to Greg's theft. Be prepared for that. When I told them that Mandy would have to pay if Greg couldn't return the stolen money, she shivered in fear. Mandy asked her parents for help, but they refused, saying, "We disown a daughter who causes trouble for others." Thus, Greg and Mandy were taken away in a police car together. Thanks to Ryan's smart strategy, we were able to punish Greg and his mistress, Mandy. Though they were released from detention soon after, they faced a hefty payment to me. Through a lawyer, I claimed $20,000 in damages. Additionally, I made Greg agree to pay $500 a month in child support for Ryan. I introduced Greg to a subcontracting factory of the company I work for. The support and other charges I claimed from Greg would be deducted from his salary and paid into my account. I also sold the camper van and was freed from the auto loan. Since then, my health has improved remarkably, and I am now energetically committed to my job. Ryan has been actively helping with household chores and errands. I want to keep moving forward strongly so that Ryan can pursue the path he loves without giving up. I will never forget the day I met Jack, as if it were only yesterday. I could be found sipping the lowest-priced coffee in a small cafe, my human soul somewhere behind furrowed brows amid a gust of planning and organizing. Then he walked through the door like a scene from a film. No bright lights had come on, and no music began to blare. It was only the bell over the door giving him away as old coffee mixed with his cologne washed up through our shared vents. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the chair opposite me with a charming smile. "Looks free to me," I replied, trying to act cool and not show how surprised I was by his sudden arrival. We started chatting, and it felt like we were made for each other. He liked all the same things I did, from binge-watching the same cheesy TV shows to debating the best pizza topping. And yes, it's pineapple. Fight me on it. Soon we were dating seriously, not just hanging out now and then. It was like I'd known him all my life. Before long, we were even talking about marriage. That's when the trouble started. His parents, let me tell you, were tough to deal with. The first time I met them, it felt like walking into a lion's den wearing a steak. They had a way of smiling while sizing you up, deciding if you were good enough or not. "So you're the girl Jack can't stop talking about," his mom said, her tone anything but friendly. "Guilty as charged," I replied, trying not to let her get to me. They quickly made it clear they wanted us to sign a prenuptial agreement. Now, I'm not after anyone's money, but I didn't like how they approached it. "I'll sign your prenup," I told them, but on one condition. If one of us cheats, the cheater has to pay up to $200,000. Jack looked as if I'd hit him with a fish. "Babe, I'd never cheat on you," he said, looking serious. "Yeah, well, my ex said the same thing before I caught him cheating," I said. So it was this deal or nothing. He agreed, and so did his parents, although they looked pretty sour about it. We thought that was the end of that issue, but we were wrong. One evening, we were snuggled up on our old creaky couch. We kept saying we'd replace it, but never did because it was our special spot. The TV was on, but we weren't really watching. We were too excited, planning a trip to Switzerland we knew we couldn't really afford, but were determined to make happen. Think about it, Jack. The food, the wine, the art. "We have to go," I said, my eyes lit up with excitement. Jack laughed and hugged me closer. "Emma, you had me at food, but let's be real. Our bank account is more suited for camping in the backyard than a romantic trip to Luzerne." I nudged him playfully. "So we'll save. We'll cut back on things we don't need, like your video games." He pretended to be shocked. "Not the video games. Take my shirts, my shoes, even my beloved coffee maker, but leave the games alone." We laughed together. That was typical for us, dreaming big but staying realistic about our simple life. And we were happy. Our joy wasn't just in big adventures, it was in the little things too. Like how Jack would make breakfast on Saturdays. He couldn't really cook, but he had somehow mastered scrambled eggs and toast, which he'd serve with his terrible coffee. I loved those mornings. "Hey, I'm thinking about scrambled eggs today. What do you think?" he'd ask, already heading to the kitchen. "Only if you promise not to burn the toast this time," I'd shout back, adding, "and I'm making the coffee." One day, while we were washing dishes together, a simple task that felt special because we did it together, Jack brought up a topic we had been avoiding. "Emma, we need to talk about, starting a family," he said, breaking the comfortable silence. I paused, holding a plate. "I know, it's just scary, isn't it? What if we can't?" Jack turned to me, drying his hands on a towel. "Then we'll handle it together. But we won't know until we try, right? How hard can it be?" I laughed, feeling a mix of nerves and love. Famous last words, babe. But that's how we were. No matter what came our way, we faced it together. Even when his mom started hinting about wanting grandchildren every chance she got, we managed. "Emma, darling, when are you going to give me some grandbabies?" "You're not getting any younger, she'd say. Her tone was sweet, but her words were sharp. I just bite my tongue, smile, and say, "We're working on it, aren't we, Jack?" And he'd jump in. "Yeah, Mom, give it a rest, will you? These things take time." But as the year went on, the pressure increased. It wasn't just from his mom, but from within us too. We wanted a family, but it wasn't happening as easily as we hoped. Since Sophia found her new hobby of making my life difficult, our home felt like a battleground, her sharp words the main weapon. It all came to a head one Sunday lunch, a day meant to be relaxed and peaceful. Sophia, with her usual timing, dropped by uninvited just as we were about to sit down. The air tensed the moment she walked in, her eyes scanning the room as if she was about to conduct a military inspection. "Well, isn't this quaint?" she started, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she looked at the simple meal I prepared. "You really outdid yourself, Emma. I can see you've been busy in the kitchen all morning." Her eyes met mine briefly, a smirk on her lips. Trying to keep the peace, I forced a smile. "It's nothing fancy, Sophia, just something simple and quick. Please have a seat." As we sat down, she began her usual tirade. "Emma," Sophia said, her voice loaded with condescension. "I was talking to Mrs. Charlotte the other day, and she mentioned how her grandson was just born. It got me thinking, when are you and Jack going to give me some good news? You're not getting any younger." I felt my cheeks burn with a mix of embarrassment and anger. I glanced at Jack, hoping for some support, but he seemed suddenly very interested in his plate. "Mom, come on," Jack finally muttered, but it was half-hearted, and we all knew it. Sophia continued, relentless. "I don't mean to be harsh, but you're not a charity. You work hard for your money. Why waste it on Emma if she can't do her basic duties as a wife? Hiring a cleaning service and a cook would be much more efficient, don't you think?" That's when I couldn't hold back any longer. "Sophia, I am trying my best here. It's not like I don't want to have kids. And as for the house and my cooking, I didn't realize marriage was a service contract." Sophia scoffed. "Well, it's not a free ride either. You have responsibilities, Emma, which you're clearly not fulfilling." The room was thick with tension, and I could feel tears starting to form. But what hurt the most wasn't Sophia's words, it was Jack's silence. He finally spoke up, but it wasn't to defend me. "Yeah, Mom has a point. Maybe we should consider getting some help around here. It would make things easier for you too." His words felt like a betrayal. It was clear I was on my own. Over the next few days, Sophia's visits became more frequent, and with each visit, her criticism got sharper. She'd inspect the house, pointing out every speck of dust or a pillow out of place. "You call this clean?" she'd scoff. My eyes must be deceiving me because this looks like a pigsty. Then came the comments about my appearance. Is that what you're wearing? You know a wife should dress to please her husband. It's no wonder Jack is always so tired. He has to come home to this. I tried to fight back. Sophia, I don't dress for Jack. I dress for myself, and he's tired because he works hard, not because of what I wear. But it was like talking to a brick wall. Sophia had made up her mind about me, and nothing I said or did would change it. Jack's lack of support was the biggest blow. Each night after his mom left, we'd argue. Why won't you stand up for me, Jack? She's walking all over us, and you're just letting her. Emma, she's old and set in her ways. What do you want me to do? Kick my own mom out? No, but I want you to be my husband, to stand by me, not her. It was clear this was about more than just Sophia's disapproval. It was about us, our marriage, and whether we were strong enough to stand together or let Sophia's criticisms tear us apart. As the days turned into weeks, I realized this wasn't just a temporary issue. It was a full-on attack, and if we didn't act soon, there might not be anything left to save. Things between me and Jack had been cold since Sophia had intensified her criticisms. But it wasn't just our home life that was under pressure. Jack himself had started acting strange, and it wasn't just because he was stressed at work. It was something more, something that made my stomach turn. It began with phone calls. Jack used to be open about his phone. We didn't keep secrets from each other. But then he started leaving the room. Whenever he got a call, and it was always the same caller ID, Paul Work. One evening, I tried to sound casual and asked, "Who's Paul Work?" Jack flinched, a clear sign he was nervous. "Oh, just a new guy at the office." Asked a lot of questions, he said, but there was more. Jack, who was never into fashion, suddenly started caring about how he looked. The graphic tees and old jeans were gone, replaced by crisp shirts, slacks, and even cologne. "Since when did you start caring about smelling like a department store?" I joked one morning as I watched him comb his hair in a new style. He just smirked too quickly. Just felt like changing things up. No harm in that, right? And then there were the late nights at work, which became more frequent. "Another long one, babe." I texted, try not to sound needy. "Sorry, this project is killing me. Won't be late, I promise," he texted back. But it would be well past midnight before I'd hear his keys in the door. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It followed me like a shadow. That's when I decided to hire a private detective. It felt like something from a cheesy TV show, but I had to know for sure. The evidence came in a plain brown envelope. As heartbreaking as it was conclusive. Photos of Jack with another woman, their closeness unmistakable. Caught in moments that shattered our years together. But it was the recording that hurt the most. Their conversations, filled with affection and plans, made it clear they were in love, or at least he was with her. I sat there with the evidence laid out in front of me, feeling a cold realization. This was the proof I might need if we ended up in a tough divorce. The photos captured moments stolen from our life together, and the recorded words betrayed every "I love you" he had ever whispered in my ear. But I kept it all to myself, a painful burden I chose to bear alone. I wasn't ready to confront him, not yet. I needed a plan, a way to handle the collapse of our marriage while keeping my dignity. The following days passed in a blur. Jack kept up his act, and I played the role of the perfect wife, smiling on the outside while breaking inside. Our conversations became a careful dance around the truth, each word measured, every laugh forced. "Everything okay, Em? You've been quiet," Jack would ask, his concerns sounding real. "Yeah, just tired, you know." "Work's been crazy," I'd reply, the light bitter in my mouth. It was just another ordinary day, or so I thought, until I overheard a conversation that changed everything. I was passing by Jack's office, the door slightly open, when I heard their voices. It was Jack and his mother, Sophia, and they weren't just making small talk. Their tone was serious, full of intent. "I'm telling you, Mom, I can't do this anymore. It's not just about the kids. I've lost all feelings for Emma. It feels like we're roommates, not husband and wife," Jack said, his voice strained and tired. Sophia's response was sharp. "Of course you feel that way. She hasn't given you a child. And what else has she really brought to this marriage? But let's not rush things. My 65th birthday is coming up, and we wouldn't want to miss out on a generous gift from her, would we?" The cynicism in her voice was like a knife twisting in my gut. They were using me, planning to keep me around just long enough to benefit from a generous birthday gift before casting me aside. "Exactly, dear. Just bide your time a little longer," Sophia confirmed, her voice dripping with malice. I stood there, frozen, feeling both shocked and angry. They were planning to push me out of the family as easily as making a grocery list. The pain was deep, but it ignited a fierce desire for revenge within me. They thought they could use me and toss me aside when convenient. I was determined to show them that I wasn't just a pawn in their twisted game. A few days later, during a family dinner that felt more like an act than a meal, Sophia brought up her upcoming birthday with a smile I had grown to hate. She leaned in and asked, "So, Emma dear, what are you planning for my birthday? Something special, I hope." I looked at her calmly and said, "Actually, Sophia, I was thinking of hosting a dinner at the city's most luxurious restaurant. A night you won't forget." Her eyes lit up with greed, and she shared a quick, satisfied glance with Jack. They thought they had cornered me, but they didn't know I was already 2 steps ahead. "Oh, Emma, that sounds delightful. Just close family, you know. Keep it intimate," Sophia said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Of course, Sophia." "It'll be our pleasure," I replied, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. The weeks leading up to Sophia's 65th birthday felt like a slow march to a big showdown. Every smirk from her and every indifferent shrug from Jack strengthened my determination. My plan was simple yet bold: host a lavish dinner as a supposed loving gesture, then drop a huge surprise. Like all good plans, the details were crucial. The night before the party, tension filled our home. Jack, unaware of the brewing storm, lounged casually on the couch, scrolling through his phone. "Everything set for tomorrow?" he asked, not looking up. "You could say that," I replied, my voice hiding the chaos inside. The day arrived, and as guests filled the lavish dining room we had reserved for Sophia's celebration, the air was thick with anticipation. My heart raced, not from nerves, but from the thrill of what was about to happen. Sophia, reveling in the attention, basked in the luxury of her surroundings. "Oh, Emma, you've outdone yourself. This place is exquisite," she exclaimed loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. As we all settled in, the meal went on with the strange cheer typical of such family events. Laughs were shared, stories exchanged. Then, as the dessert plates were cleared, the waiter approached with the final act of the evening, the bill. He leaned in discreetly and informed us the dinner cost was $66,000. I handed over my credit card, unnoticed by most. Then Jack, with a forced smirk, decided to announce his decision. "Emma, I think it's time everyone knew. I'm tired of this of us. I want a divorce." His words hung in the air like a toxic cloud, silencing the room. Before I could fully grasp what he said, Sophia, sharp and unforgiving, chimed in. "Well then, since that's out in the open, I think it's best you leave, Emma. We're celebrating family tonight, and well, you're no longer part of it." The room fell silent, every eye on me, waiting to see my reaction. But I didn't crumble. With a calm I didn't feel, I stood up, nodded, and walked out without a word. The cool night air felt like a slap as I walked home, the finality of everything hitting me in waves. By the time I reached our old apartment, I had a plan. I packed my essentials, my numbness turning into cold resolve. This was it, the end of one life and the start of another. As I zipped up my last suitcase, my phone began to buzz incessantly. Initially, I ignored it, but curiosity won out. Sophia's voice shrieked from the other end. "Emma, the payment didn't go through. You need to fix this now." The irony was sweet. In my preparations, I had blocked the shared account, knowing it would be the first thing Jack would try to use against me. "Oh, Sophia, that's unfortunate. But since I'm no longer part of the family, as you put it, I'm afraid you'll have to sort this out yourself." Her outrage was palpable, even through the phone, but it sounded like music to my ears. The chaos that unfolded was a fitting end to the farce my marriage had become. I heard through the grapevine about the restaurant staff demanding payment, Sophia's escalating tantrums, and eventually the police arriving to calm the situation she caused. In the end, it was Jack and his relatives who had to scrape together the money to settle the bill. A poetic justice for the betrayal and humiliation they had put me through. The morning after dinner felt like waking up after a storm. I had my plan, my resolve, and a set of divorce papers in my hand as I returned to what used to be our shared home for the last time. As soon as I walked through the door, the air was thick with tension, like it could be cut with a knife. Jack and Sophia were there, and they seemed like they had been arguing. Seeing me seemed to unite them in anger. "You've got some nerve showing up here after last night," Jack said, his face a mix of anger and disbelief. Sophia, quick to add her own harsh words, called out, "Ungrateful wretch. You've embarrassed us in front of the whole city. Do you know how humiliating it was to have the police call me down? People were laughing, filming. I met their fury with a calm I didn't feel. Embarrassed. You think that's your biggest problem right now." I tossed the divorce papers on the table, placing the photos of Jack's infidelity on top. "You should be more worried about this." Jack's face went pale as he picked up the photos, with his mother looking over his shoulder. Their anger turned to shock, and then to panic as they realized what I had. "And let's not forget the payout, shall we?" I continued, my voice steady. "You cheat, you pay. $200,000 to be exact." Sophia's face twisted into a snarl. "You wouldn't dare. You can't do this to us." "Oh, but I can. And I will," I replied, my tone cold and final. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Jack changed his approach. "Please, Emma, let's talk about this. We can fix it." I couldn't help but laugh, bitter and hard. "Fix it? You think you can just undo everything with a few words?" "No, Jack, it's done." Sophia, ever the manipulator, tried to soften her approach. Her voice full of fake concern, she said, "Emma, darling, think about what you're doing. This will ruin us." "That ship has sailed, Sophia. You should have thought about that before." Their begging turned to pleading, their words a desperate scramble to salvage what they could. But my mind was made up. I was done being the victim, done with their lies and manipulations. In the end, Jack had no choice but to borrow the money from his parents to pay me. As I left that house for the last time, check in hand, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. After everything that had happened, I was finally free. I used the money from Jack to make a down payment on a small but cozy place of my own. It's amazing how much peace you can find in a home that's all yours, where every corner feels like a safe haven from the chaos of the past. Life is quieter now, and I prefer it that way. I've got a job that keeps me busy, friendly neighbors who nod and smile, and a little garden that's all mine to take care of. But every now and then, I hear some gossip about Jack and Sophia. Just the other day, I was getting coffee from the local spot where people gather, and I bumped into someone from the old neighborhood. After some small talk, they leaned in, lowered their voice, and said, "Hey, have you heard the latest drama with your ex and his mom?" Their eyes were shining with excitement. I raised an eyebrow, curious yet detached. Can't say that I have. Do tell. They seem to enjoy sharing the news. It seems Sophia isn't too happy with Jack's new girlfriend. Word is, they're fighting like cats and dogs. Makes your situation look like a walk in the park. We moved on from the topic, but as I walked away with my coffee, I felt a deep sense of relief. There was a time when news like this would have upset me, but now it's just another piece of someone else's story. These days, my biggest concerns are whether my tomatoes will ripen before the squirrels get to them, or if I'll ever manage yoga without looking like a newborn deer on ice. Life's simpler, quieter, and so much sweeter on this side of chaos. I initiated the divorce because I perceived that an economically weak spouse was of no use to me. So here is my story. I was busy traveling, and the thing most women dread happening to me while I am on a business trip. Wow. I began to fear that he would claim I married him for what money was in his pockets, and gave up any rights we have on the property. Facing my indifferent husband, who had always looked down on me since we got married, led to his complete downfall. My name is Ava. I'm 40 years old. I was raised by a single mother after my father died when I was in kindergarten. Despite the financial hardships, we found happiness as a family of 3. Even now, with a decent job and salary, I still live frugally because of my upbringing. I married Larry, a wealthy man I met through a friend. I was drawn to his kindness and the new possibilities he introduced to me. After we got married, our different views on money and gender roles became clear. Larry imagined a traditional home where I would stay at home, but I was committed to my career and staying financially independent. Before we married, Larry suggested I become a housewife, assuming I would accept traditional roles. However, I made it clear I wanted to keep working until we had kids, pointing out the financial advantages. I managed to convince him, but the reality of balancing work and home responsibilities was hard. Even though I worked full-time, I still had to do all the house chores, leaving us little time together. Meanwhile, Larry, sticking to a traditional husband's role, did nothing at home. He just enjoyed his dinner and relaxed when he got home. Trying to balance work and home life strained our relationship and made me wonder if this was really what marriage was supposed to be like. I was afraid to tell Larry how unhappy I was because I thought he might make me quit my job. Even though he didn't help at home, I hoped that having children might improve our relationship. But we were becoming more distant, making me doubt we could start a family. Feeling it was urgent to talk about this, I approached Larry. "Hey, we should think about having kids, right?" I said. "You're pretty energetic for someone tired from work and chores," he replied. "It's not about that. I want to have children. We haven't been married long, but I'm already over 32. Women can only have children for a certain time, and it's getting harder for me to conceive as I get older. It's almost too late. But we don't need kids. If we have one, you'll expect me to help, right? You know I'm busy with work and won't help with raising children. Isn't it strange to say you won't help with child rearing even before they're born? I plan to raise them alone, but shouldn't you at least want to help? It's your child too. Child rearing is your job. I'm working to support the family, so I definitely won't help with the kids. You'll just complain that I don't help, making me the bad guy. You must have been taught to be poor and have lots of kids since you were born. We're not poor. We don't need kids. End of discussion. Larry abruptly ended the conversation, then went to his room. Alone in the living room, I broke down in tears. My desire for children was not only rejected, but he also mocked my upbringing. After this, our relationship got worse quickly. We barely talked, and the hope of having children faded. As I continued to balance work and home duties, taking on significant projects at work, I found myself growing more distant from Larry. One day, as I told him about an upcoming business trip, his unexpected kindness caught me off guard. He wished me well and hinted at a big surprise when I returned. But my hope was crushed when I came back. The front door wouldn't open. Larry had changed the locks. His first surprise was announcing our divorce. He claimed to have faked my signature and filed the papers with a friend as a witness. Inside, he handed me a document to sign, giving up my rights to any property division and protesting the false accusations. I insisted that we both give up our rights to any property, and I wanted this to be a public agreement. Larry stubbornly argued and revised the document on his computer, leading to a tense argument. As I left the house, he kept mocking me for being poor and even threatened to throw out my things. A few days later, Larry called me in a panic. "What did you do?" he asked. "I haven't done anything." "Why are you panicking?" "I have many questions. First, I was told to leave the apartment." "Oh, you are still living there. That's not allowed. It's a new month. You're trespassing." "Trespassing? But it's my house." "Are you okay? Did you forget it was a company apartment I rented? I was the leaseholder, so naturally, you can't live there anymore." "That's ridiculous. How could you do this? I can't believe you didn't know." "I'm not the one who should be accused here. Didn't I tell you that you can't just change the locks of a rental apartment? It's my house. I can change the locks if I want." "Didn't you listen? It was my lease. And even if you were the leaseholder, the owner is the apartment manager. You can't change the locks without telling them." "Is that so? Also, I ended the lease while you changed the locks. I was allowed to live there until this month. I was planning to return, but now you've unlawfully altered someone else's property, which could be criminal damage." "Wait, why did you end it so early?" "Criminal damage? Is that why the police are at the front door now?" "Don't worry, it's probably not for trespassing or criminal damage. It's better to talk to them." "Why do I know about the police?" "Because I reported you for filing the divorce papers yourself. It looks like you've committed crimes like forgery and fraudulent use of a document. Divorce papers can be filed by one person, but only with mutual agreement and personal signatures. Since you forged my signature and the witness, it's clearly a crime." Larry seemed unaware of his guilt. "So the divorce papers you submitted are invalid, and your marriage with Laura can't happen either." "How do you know about Laura? Did you think I knew nothing?" "I hired a private detective agency to investigate your affair with Laura. It was a busy time at work, and coordinating with the agency was tough. Plus, you even held a grand wedding ceremony while I was supposedly on a business trip. I actually took time off work to do some research and prepare documents because I knew about Larry bringing Laura home. It would have been impossible to gather this evidence while working." After I told Larry everything, he was speechless and seemed quite upset, even over the phone. Then he pleaded with me, "Please don't tell Laura I'm divorced." "Why would I? There's no such fact to tell, really." "Thank you. Are you misunderstanding something? When did you become divorced? That fake divorce paper is invalid. Remember, so legally you're still my husband, not divorced." "What? So since you cheated while still legally my husband, Laura needs to pay compensation. I sent the demand for compensation to her house yesterday by express delivery. She didn't know you were married, right? Then I can't withdraw the claim at this point. I knew Laura believed Larry was single, but I deliberately sent the compensation demand. Laura hasn't contacted me yet, so maybe she hasn't received the letter. It should arrive soon. Should you be on the phone with me when you also have to deal with the police? You're busy. I'll ignore the police. I won't be arrested. I'm going to Laura's house now to get the letter back before she or her family can accept it. He then hung up and probably went straight to Laura's house to wait for the postman at the front door. I knew it would be futile because the letter was sent as registered mail to Laura only. A few hours later, a disheartened Larry called me. According to him, there was an incident when the postman arrived. Finally, I'll take that envelope. Who are you? You don't live here, right? I'm practically a resident here since I'm married. I have the right to receive the mail. I see, but I can't give you this envelope. It's registered mail for Laura only. What? Give it to me. Absolutely not. If you're so eager, ask Laura for permission. What's going on here? Oh, Larry, what's all this noise? Laura, this is registered mail for you. This man insisted on taking it. Sorry for the disturbance. What's this? A demand for compensation, Larry. You were married. What's going on here? Sorry, it's just, she's an ex-wife from a long time ago. I was embarrassed to say, I'm divorced. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret. But isn't it strange? We haven't been dating long, and suddenly there's a demand for compensation. If you were divorced before we started dating, there shouldn't be any problem, right? Well, my ex-wife is crazy. Maybe she's demanding compensation out of spite because I got married. That was the excuse he gave, but his lie was soon exposed. The envelope included a letter I wrote along with my contact information. So Laura called me directly. During that call, I told her about the affair, the invalid divorce, and that they had a wedding ceremony while he was still married to me. Although they had a wedding ceremony, they hadn't submitted the marriage registration yet. Larry wanted to submit it on April Fool's Day, so it was still pending. He probably delayed submitting the marriage registration because he was unsure whether the divorce was finalized. After being exposed, Larry left Laura's house and shamelessly contacted me again. I still had something to tell him, so we agreed to meet at a nearby cafe. As soon as I arrived, Larry said, Ava, please withdraw the compensation claim. Let's pretend we've been separated for a long time and officially divorced. Now I can apologize to Laura for being secretly divorced and maybe cover it up. Do you think I'm desperate to stay married to you? I was going to file for divorce anyway. But since you cheated, you'll pay compensation. Just trying to extort money from me, huh? Typical of you. You have such a poor heart, he said. You're talking nonsense. Depending on my answer, everything can change. There's still an option where we don't divorce. If I say no, you can't reject it, meaning you can't marry Laura, and your marital status will be exposed. Fine, I'll pay the compensation. Just divorce me now. Sign here. Then about property division. How much more do you want to take from me? Come on, compensation should be enough. Remember, we agreed to waive property division, right? So let's make it official. All right, you're not as bad as I thought. Thank you. We then went to a public notary, made a public document for compensation and property division, and then to the city hall to submit the divorce papers, finalizing our divorce. Relieved, I exchanged final words with Larry. Glad we don't have to divide property. What are you saying? I'm the one who benefits from that. By the way, do you even have assets after paying me compensation? Laura will also claim damages. She mentioned charging you for the wedding expenses. That's impossible. I'm marrying Laura. She can't claim that we're divorced now, so there should be no problem. Still living in a fantasy, H? You committed marriage fraud. You had a wedding while still married. Do you think Laura still believes you? Marriage fraud, that's ridiculous. Laura will believe me. Believe that if you want. I heard from Laura directly. Also, word the guests at your wedding paid actors. You still owe them. You know about that. I haven't paid them yet. What does it matter to you? You could have just taken property division and been better off. That's what I wanted to tell you. Even if we had divided property, you would have benefited more. What are you talking about, poor woman? Your family is poor, and you only make $230,000 a year, right? Even if you got a raise, it would be barely $30,000. You don't have any property. You keep calling me poor, so I thought you might be mistaken. Yes, my salary is indeed $145,000. But you know I work for a foreign company, right? It seems you have no interest in me, but I became a director of an American brand. It's not $145,000 per year, but per month. $170,000 per month. So that's an annual income of $2.5 million. You're still bad with numbers. How do you manage to keep a job? It's $2.5 million a year. $2.5 million? That can't be true. Of course, I haven't had the chance to spend such an amount, so I've been saving it for the future. The savings from before our marriage aren't part of the property division, but there's still a considerable amount since our marriage. So I could have received half of that in the property division. You were my wife, after all. I'll get the divorce papers corrected. Are you okay after all the contempt? You think I'd gladly undo the divorce? If you have that much money, you don't need to claim compensation, right? It's just a small amount for you. I'll laugh at 1 cent, will weep for 1 cent. This compensation is for the mental anguish you caused me. I'd like to claim more honestly, and since we've made it official, make sure to pay it in installments. I'll be penniless. Also, don't go back to that apartment. Your belongings should have been moved to your parents' house by now. You thought I had few belongings, but that was because I had already moved. Most of them were indifferent to me. I could have so little, so I have to go back to my parents' house. They don't know anything yet. Let me explain. Don't say anything. I already told them everything. It's only fair to explain why we're divorcing. Oh, and your father said never to step over our threshold again. So I have nowhere to go. He collapsed and I left the cafe. Later, I heard he caused trouble at the police station. Despite my advice, he went back to the apartment. He just sat there aimlessly in the empty apartment until the manager called the police, and he was taken away. I'm not sure if it was for obstructing public duties, trespassing, or the falsified divorce papers. Eventually, his parents took responsibility for him after talking with me and learning about Laura. They decided that apologizing and paying damages to Laura's family came first. They went to Laura's house to apologize, kneeling in front of her family. They settled everything without pressing charges for marriage fraud, even paying for the wedding expenses. I had expected them to sue, so it was disappointing they didn't. I decided to pursue legal action against him for forging the divorce papers. Larry offered a settlement, but I didn't withdraw the lawsuit. I didn't want him to think everything could be solved with money. I wanted him to be convicted and understand the gravity of his actions. Even if it cost time and money, I left everything to my lawyer, so it wasn't too burdensome for me. Even though it took time, Larry was exposed for his actions and the marriage fraud. He couldn't stay at his company anymore after being detained by the police, and subsequently absent without leave. He was eventually fired. He ended up living at his parents' home, working all day at a relative's construction company. His father took all his earnings, leaving him with no income. I thought his parents wouldn't abandon him, but they were stricter than I expected. They paid my compensation and Laura's compensation, planning to make him work hard until he repaid everything. He lived in a shed-like place with no electricity, receiving only $10 per day for food, deducted from his salary. They planned to kick him out once he'd repaid everything. A harsh fate after years of hard work. I was offered a position at the head office abroad, so I moved overseas after the divorce was finalized. I worried that Larry might come to me for help or harbor resentment, but moving abroad alleviated those concerns. Initially, I thought work would be my sole companion for a while, but life took an unexpected turn. I soon found myself in a new relationship. I am now dating a foreign executive at our head office. Things have progressed quickly, and I'm pregnant with plans to marry soon. I shared everything about my past and my ex-husband with him, and he's been incredibly understanding and supportive. We've discussed our future together in depth. I'll be taking maternity leave soon, and we've planned for me to return to work afterward. He's enthusiastic about taking paternity leave and embracing the role of an active co-parent, which showcases a refreshing cultural perspective compared to what I experienced previously. My past experiences with my ex-husband were challenging, but now I finally feel like I'm on the path to true happiness. I am gaining confidence each day and moving closer to building the happy family I've always dreamed of. The journey here taught me a lot about resilience and the complexity of relationships. Many people endure suffering due to selfish partners, and while divorce isn't always the preferred solution, enduring in silence is certainly not a virtue. It's crucial to recognize that open and honest discussions can pave the way to meaningful resolutions. In some cases, divorce turns out to be a necessary decision for personal growth and well-being. This chapter of my life has reinforced that belief, helping me move forward with a new sense of purpose and hope for the future.